Hey guys, today is September 15th, 2025. So I have a decode that points to September 16th. And if I'm right, we may see a very big event that will happen tomorrow. This date, I first decoded from iPetGoat 2. It does not show the year. So if I'm wrong about this year, then I will also be looking at next year. But I did find some significant evidence that leads me to believe that possibly tomorrow will be the date, will be this year. So we will see. But first, I'm going to show you something I showed you guys in the past, a connection with iPetGoat 2 and the school shootings, and another shooting as well, because it makes my current decode much more relevant as I show you guys the similar pattern, right? Because that's all what decoding is. It's looking at patterns and trying to find the same patterns repeating itself, right? And that's what I'm finding here with this past and what I see in the current decode. So I talked about this school shooting on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2018, and how it was shown here in the classroom scene. In PetGoat, we have the hearts, right, on the blackboard. This also has love backwards, but besides that, you can't see that right here. But we have the 322 in the woman's hair, and we have the letter Q, double Q. Well, this event happened 223 days after George Bush's birthday. George Bush is in the other side of the classroom, right? And we have the 322. And we have the letter Q, and the letter Q is the 17th letter. Number of deaths were 17. Number of injured, 17, right? 2 Qs. So then we had another major school shooting on May 24th, 2022. Now this one was 322 days after George Bush's birthday, and it was 223 weeks later. Happened to also be 223 in the Jewish calendar. Now, when we look further to the right, we see the letters R and V. Well, this is the 18th letter and the 22nd letter. Once again, just like the double Q, matching the number of deaths and injured on the Valentine's Day shooting, 17 and 17, we had 22 deaths, matching the letter V, and right above it, 18 injured, matching the letter R. Then we also had 3,022 weeks apart from Kamala Harris being born, with the dates reversed, Club Q shooting. So this is a black woman. This is all multi-layered, so this video has many meanings. And so we have, of course, the letter Q right next to the black woman's hair, the 322. 3,022 weeks apart from Kamala Harris being born, a shooting at Club Q. So if you're not aware, when I talk about dates reversed, I'm talking about reversing as if I were to put the 11/19, if it said 11/19, 1964 to 10/20, Kamala's birthday over here in 2022, and just put it in parentheses. So there's 3 examples, clearly overwhelming evidence that this was foretold in PetGoat, right? And now I'm looking at this image right here on Bush's face, his eyebrows. When you reverse this horizontally, see, they make it look like some of these images can look like multiple things. This can look like a 5 and a 7. It's been also said that this resembles the letter pi. Well, they do that on purpose because this does have multiple meanings, right? So when you reverse it, it has the number 72. It's pretty clear, right? And his eyebrows look like water, look like waves, right? So that's why I'm thinking September 16th, there may be a water event because this date is exactly 72 days after Bush's birthday. See, I just told you guys that they did this in the other decode, but they had the number on the woman's hair with the event connecting to Bush's birthday. But they also had another event connecting to a black woman, Kamala Harris, right? The number 322. But this is right on Bush's face, so it would clearly be most likely connected to Bush's birthday, or Bush in some other way, right? And besides George Bush, his initials, G is the 7th letter and B is the 2nd letter. So I said before this could have multiple meanings, right? I said this could look like, it's been said before, this kind of resembles the letter pi in this way. Well, look at this. If you take the letter P, it's the 16th letter. If you take the letter I, it's the 9th letter. And when you reverse this, you have 9/16, the date, which is 72 days after Bush's birthday. So it's double coded to this date. And speaking of pi, the day that Trump was announced as the winner of the election happened after midnight, and it happened on November 6th. The election was on November 5th, but he was announced as the winner after midnight. I remember because I watched it. And from that time, November 6th to 9/16, also connects with pi, 314. So I said his eyebrows look like waves, right? Water event. We do not see any hurricanes approaching the U.S. that would happen by September 16th, right? So one other possibility could be a tsunami. Tsunami equals 25. 9 plus 16 equals 25. When you add up the single digits, it equals 25. And of course, we are in the year 2025. So I want to show you guys this connection with the state of Washington being founded. November 11th, 1889. Look at this. So right here to September 16th, I don't see anything significant, but as I said, I do a date reversal to sometimes find connections. And when I do that, when I take the 1111, put it over here, and put the 9/16 here, well, we have 49,729 days. Well, what is that? It's the square of 223, right? So in this image, we see on Pet Goat, we have to reverse George Bush's face to see the number 72 to come up with the date 9/16, because it's 72 days after George Bush's birthday. And when we have this founding date of Washington, we have to reverse it to find the 223 code, right? And George Bush has the connection, the 322 skull and bones connection. And by reversing the dates with Washington State, we also see the 322 code connecting to the state of Washington. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's just a theory. If a tsunami were to happen and it hits the state of Washington or the West Coast, I'm showing you guys the decode ahead of time. Here's why. And just to show you guys another example, reversing the dates. For instance, take George Bush's birth date, the day he was born to 9/11/01. You have 20,156. When you reverse the dates with his birth date, look at, you have the same code, the 223 code, the 322 code backwards with George Bush's birthday. We have another 223 code connecting to Seattle. So back on February 5th of this year, the right wing of Japan Airlines Flight 68 struck the tail of Delta Airlines Flight 1921. Well, that happened in Seattle, Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, and that was 223 days apart from 9/16. So we have the 223 code with the founding date of Washington State, and we have this event that happened in Seattle, 223 days apart. Now look at this, guys. June 25th, 1993, the movie Sleepless in Seattle released. It will be 32 years, 2 months, 22 days. Another Skull and Bones code. So, since 2001, that's what first got me into numerology, and I saw the 322 connections, and it wasn't just a plain 322. It was 1 3, multiple 2s, and that's what I look for in any order. So just because there's 2 extra 2s added to it, I see this as a Skull and Bones code. For instance, Bin Laden was born, 2 weeks and 2 days apart from 9/11. 1 3, multiple 2s, right? Now look what Sleepless in Seattle equals. 64. Now the 2 major stars of this movie were Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. So if you reverse the dates with Meg Ryan's birthday, you have 64 years, 64 days. So this date, September 16th, will be exactly 64 days before Meg Ryan's 64th birthday. Sleepless in Seattle equals 64. By the way, I didn't put it in here, but it is kind of interesting. I couldn't figure out the exact meaning, but it will also be 69 years and 69 days exactly after Tom Hanks was born. But the real big significance that I see is the 64 connection with the movie and the 64 connection with Meg Ryan's birthday. And of course, the release date of the movie. Now, if you look back on September 11th, 01, you see that it was Elul 23. That's either 6/23 or 12/23 on the Jewish calendar, because there's the new and the old calendar. But still, September 16th, 2025, we have the same date on the Jewish calendar. If you take the founding date of our country, July 4th, 1776, to September 16th, 2025, you actually have 9/11 forward and backwards. So, of course, in the news, the recent big event was the death and shooting of Charlie Kirk. Decoding with Cody talked about and showed that it was exactly 666 Mercury years since Lincoln was shot to Kirk being shot, right? And assassinated, just like Lincoln was assassinated. And so I just wanted to add this because I found it interesting that we once again have this big 666 connection with Lincoln, but the date that I'm talking about, 9/16. Because since Lincoln's birth, it's 216 years and 216 days. Well, 6 times 6 times 6 equals 216. So you have a double 666 connection with Lincoln. So I found that very interesting. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. My next one's going to be a really big video too. I haven't really done many decodes lately. I've just been busy. But a lot of the stuff that I showed you guys was things that I was looking at from several months ago. But later in the month, I have a time frame that I'm also really concerned about, and it concerns war. So that will be my next video. But we will see what happens tomorrow first, and I will talk to you guys next time. Take care.